to ever hear my cry. In my mind, I never understood why we were born to die.
Welcome to the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. Thank you for joining me again. I really appreciate the love and support that I'm getting from my Facebook family, folks calling in from all around. So thank you for joining me tonight. And as you see, I'm on a little early. I'm usually on from 8 to 9. However, this means that I get to talk to you just a little bit sooner. So thank you for joining me. And you can always catch me after tonight's broadcast. So feel free to give me a call at 708-223-8953. Today's show is brought to you by a couple of sponsors. So always, I got to give a shout out to Up and Going. Up and Going is doing wonderful things with their businesses. 219-200-2400. That is Anthony McMath, Big Mac, the owner of Up and Going. And it's one piece at a time. That's the motto that he uses. Not only is he doing banquet halls, not only is he doing funeral homes, but he's also available to do anything that you got in your closet. So Up and Going Cleaners, really appreciate the love and support. www.upandgoing.net, www.upandgoing.net. I also would like to send a shout out to Alicia Harrison. I'm going to go ahead and plug her business because she has a wonderful business called Apple of My Eye. It is a boutique for toddlers. So she's out there doing wonderful things, getting her hustle on. www.appleofmyeyeboutique.com, appleofmyeyeboutique.com. So again, that's Alicia Harrison. And she was here last week, and we talked a little bit about her business. We also talked about some family things, and we promised the people that we would do a little bit of research into what's going on with what's remaining of Cabrini Green. So we're going to get into a little bit of that as well. I'm going to be reading some things off to you, some history that some of you have known for years, some of you who don't know or have never heard of the story of how that housing project came about a long time ago. So we're going to get a little bit into that as well. And before we cover that, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about what's on my mind, share a little bit with you without going into too many details. Again, I'm always grateful for Intellectual Radio for presenting this platform and supplying this platform for not only shows like mine, but the other shows who come on before and the other shows who have historical connections to this radio station. This is an iHeartRadio platform. Intellectual Radio has a lot of brothers and sisters from throughout the city that comes and advertise, support, speak their mind. Wonderful times, wonderful opportunities here. So I would like to give shout outs to those shows that you can find on intellectualradio.com. In order to subscribe to those shows, hear those shows, subscribe to the platform. So go to intellectualradio.com, hit the subscribe button, and then go ahead and find the show that you're looking for. Listen to the shows that are out there, and I guarantee you will not be disappointed. So with that, my weekend was a wonderful weekend. I had to pivot a little bit. I had some plans that actually had to change, but it was all for the good. This weather lately has been in a negative. So although we are from Chicago, it never gets easier to be in negative 10 degrees with a wind chill of negative 31, a negative of 30. It just hurts. It hurts, and it doesn't make any sense. I had to get out in this weather to, without going into too many details, aid someone to get off the road. Wasn't my plan to be on that ground at negative 10 without wind chill, but I'm glad that I had my phone up. I'm glad that I was able to get out, and I'm glad that I was able to assist those who were in need. Why am I sharing that? I'm sharing that just to put it out there that sometimes it may be a little bit uncomfortable for you to get out and go what we would consider above and beyond. But we should never shy away from the opportunity to help someone else. And these people don't necessarily have to be in your circle, especially if they're not in your circle. you still should put yourself in a position to do something for someone more than yourself. So I just wanted to share that. It was um, it was a learning experience. I'm glad I was in the position to help, and I appreciate the support from those who were a part of that process, a part of the process that I allowed them to be a part of, talking about the situation that happened on Sunday. So thank you for your support. Thank you for the encouragement as I got out there to assist. And again, I would encourage each and every one of you, if it benefits someone else, to consider getting it done. So with that, I would like to talk a little bit more about the show before. Again, we talked a little bit about Cabrini Green, just to give you some backstory for those of you who didn't join us before. I spent some time between the west side of Chicago and in the South Austin area, and Cabrini Green, where my dad lived at. My grandmother was there. My uncles, aunties. Uh, there was family in both areas. The Cabrini Green area, some people call it the northwest side, some people call it the near north side, but it's in the heart of downtown Chicago. And so I wanted to do my research instead of just talking about family things between myself and my cousin. I wanted to do a little bit more research to talk a little bit about Cabrini Green. And the question came up, what about the people who still actually own properties over in the Cabrini Green area? And I'm going to get a little bit more into that as well. Basically, some of those places have been renovated. Some people still live in the area that is considered to be the Greens. And then there's other areas that were just abandoned. The majority of people who probably have rights to those abandoned spaces probably don't even know it. And so I'm going to read into a little bit of history of the area, and I'm going to give the information to the alderman who's over that area, who's also from Cabrini Green, and start the process of moving forward with what me and my cousin talked about. If there's an area over there that can be claimed and rehabbed or sold or whatever uh, can be done with it, we want to move forward and find out how we can help affect those families in a positive way while beautifying the city in that area. Because a lot of us have a lot of bad memories in that area, but most importantly, a lot of us have a lot of great memories concerning that area. So I'm about to get into it concerning the Cabrini Green homes. Okay. Cabrini Green Homes was a Chicago Housing Authority public housing project on the near north side of Chicago, Illinois. Francis Cabrini row houses and extensions were south of Division Street, bordered by Larrabee Street to the west, Orland Street to the east, and Chicago Avenue to the south, with the William Green homes being to the northwest of Chicago Avenue. At its peak, Cabrini Green was home to 15,000 people, mostly living in mid and high rise apartment buildings. Crime and neglect is what created hostile living conditions for many residents. And Cabrini Green became a metaphor for problems associated with public housing in the United States. In 1995, the Chicago Housing Authority began tearing down dilapidated mid and high rise buildings, with the last demolished in 2011. And today, only the original two-story row houses remain. Now, we're going to do like a little bit of church. We're going to stop right there, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that were read. Last week, the question was asked, do you feel that Cabrini Green could have been saved? And the answer is absolutely. It could have been. I believe and I see that if resources were put into these housing projects, that the people who not only were living in the area, but the people that were responsible to our city for taking care of that area and other areas like that. For example, the Robert Taylor homes on the south side, uh, uh, different projects on the west side, off of Washington. The name, I can't think of the name right now, but I'll think of it. Henry Horner homes. Um, if the resources were put into these housing projects, then they would probably still be standing today. And I'm going to go ahead and continue to read. The area has seen major redevelopments due to its proximity to downtown. Now, with that, how many of us are participating in those redevelopments? How many of us have stock in the redevelopment process or had stock in the redevelopment process when it came to rebuilding those areas? Because it resulted in a combination of upscale high rises and townhouses, with some units being owned by the Chicago Housing Authority, creating a mixed income neighborhood. Now, with that, it's great that we can rent in those mixed income neighborhoods, but how many of those units do we, as the people of Chicago, own? For those who lived in Cabrini Green and saw the transition and saw the devastation of their community, how many of us now own those mixed communities? So here's the layout and the demographics. The construction reflected the urban renewal approach to the United States city planning in the mid 20th century. The extension buildings were known as the Reds for their red brick exteriors, while the green homes, which reinforced concrete exteriors, were known as the Whites. Many of the high rise buildings originally had exterior porches called open galleries. According to the Chicago Housing Authority, the early residents of the Cabrini row houses were predominantly of Italian ancestry. By about 1962, however, a majority of residents in the completed complexes were African American. So here's the timeline. November 2004, Cabrini Green mid-rise buildings started to take form, or started to get on the list to get torn down. But let's go way back before that. Before the Greens and before Cabrini and the Greens were built, Cabrini Green, in the 1850s, shanty houses were first built on those areas. That was a low-lying Chicago River land area at the time, so it really wasn't built up. The population was predominantly Swedish, and then it went from Swedish to Irish. Okay? As you all know, Chicago has a huge Irish population. Most of the people north of Madison at the time were Irish, and and south of Madison, they were Italians or others. The area of that area was considered to be nicknamed Little Hell. The reason that it was nicknamed Little Hell was because there was a lot of different gas refineries in that area, which produced shooting pillars of flames and various noxious fumes. By the 20th century, it was known as Little Sicily. Now we're probably more familiar with that name, Little Sicily, due to the large number of Sicilian immigrants that migrated to that area. The Gold Coast is right next to what was considered Little Sicily, which were called slums at the time. So in 1929, somebody by the name of Harvey Zorbo wrote The Gold Coast and the Slum. It was a sociological study of Chicago's near north side, contrasting the widely varying social mores of the wealthy Gold Coast, the poor Little Sicily, and the transitional area in between. The Marshall Field Garden Apartments, which was the first large-scale privately funded low-income housing development in the area, was completed about that time. Now, in 1942, Francis Cabrini built 586 units in 54 buildings by architects Holzman, Burstmeister, and initially that housed 75% whites and 25% blacks. And that was named after St. Francis Cabrini, who's an Italian American nun who served the poor and was the first American to be canonized. So for all of those who are into the Catholic history, you probably know or have heard that name before. In 57, the Cabrini Homes extension, or the high rises, started to get built, and they housed 1,925 units in 15 buildings was completed. by Epstein and Sons. In 1962, William Green homes were completed with 1,096 units north of Division Street. That's how you got the name Cabrini and Green by William Green. 1966, Gertrude et al. Versus Chicago Housing Authority was a lawsuit that alleged that Chicago's public housing program was conceived and executed in a racially discriminatory manner that perpetuated racial discrimination, segregation within neighborhoods. And so that lawsuit was filed. The Chicago Housing Authority was found liable in 1969, and a consent decree with HUD was entered in 1981. That's a huge, huge stretch of time. Between 69 and 81, you finally get a decree from HUD. In February 8th, 1974, we've all heard of Good Times, right? So if you remember uh, the entry into Good Times, you see the building, that red brick. And when the show is over, you see that red brick. That's actually Cabrini Green. They really didn't mention Cabrini Green on the show, but that shot that you see was the external shots of the row houses. I mean, not the row houses, but the high rises at Cabrini Green. So it featured those shots of the complexes in the opening and closing credits. It debuted on CBS, and it ran for 6 seasons from 74 to 79. So in March 26, we had a mayor in Chicago by the name of Jane Byrne. So from March 26th to April 19th, Mayor Byrne moved into Cabrini Green to prove a point regarding Chicago's high crime rate. Now, a lot of people considered it to be a publicity stunt. I'm not sure how long she said she was going to stay, but she ended up staying for 3 weeks before moving out. You all have heard of the Candyman. Okay, that was shot Cabrini Green as well in that area. That's where that story took place in those housing projects. Now, in 1994, Chicago received something called the Housing Opportunities for People Everywhere grants, also known as HOPE. They received the HOPE grants to redevelop Cabrini Green as a mixed income neighborhood. Now, this was in 1994. Prior to 94, we had a lot of neglect going on. They finally get the money in 1994 to start the process of developing or redeveloping mixed income houses. But what happens? In 1995, they started demolition on the majority of homes that people were still living in at the time. So now you have people who rated the money in 94 to be a part of the process of redeveloping the community to become mixed income community. But here's the key. That's a code word. When we talk about mixed income, what are we talking about? We don't mind people coming in. But now, if people are coming in and they're not to dwell among us, then that means that somebody has to be moving out. And if somebody's moving out, then that means that they cannot be a part of the process of redeveloping these areas. So just food for thought. In 1995, demolition started to begin in the areas. And in 1997, Chicago finally unveils their Near North Redevelopment Initiative, a master plan for development in the area, and it recommended demolishing Green's homes and most of Cabrini extensions. So 2 years after the demolition started, that's all you needed. Now, they cut the money a year before. They started the process of demolition in a year after. And then 2 years after, they started to talk about some huge initiatives because it took that long to move people out of the areas. It took that long to talk to people about other alternatives besides them being a part of that actual mixed income initiative that was going on. So where did the people go? Where did they get moved to? In 1999, the Chicago Housing Authority announced plans for transformation, which spent 1.5 billion over 10 years to demolish 18,000 apartments and build or rehabilitate 25,000 apartments. Now, earlier redevelopment plans for Cabrini Green were included in the plan for transformation. A new library, rehabilitated sewer park, and new shopping centers, they started to open in the area. Now, December 2010, the William Green Homes Complex last standing building closed. And in 2011, the last high rise building was demolished. With a public art presentation commemorating the event, the majority of Francis Cabrini homes, row houses, remain intact, although in poor condition, and some having been abandoned. Now, if you bag up, they talked about redeveloping the place, they talked about uh, different initiatives. So, how is it a redevelopment initiative to allow for individuals who live there to be a part of a mixed income neighborhood when they did not have any opportunities to become a part of that mixed income neighborhood initiative? So basically, all the houses were torn down, with the exception of some of the row houses that some have been developed. A slice of the row houses were developed, and the others were abandoned. So doesn't sound like it's a huge push to uh, become a mixed income neighborhood. Cabrini Green was comprised or composed of 10 sections built over a 20-year period. The Francis Cabrini row houses, which were 586 units in 1942, the Cabrini Extension North and Cabrini Extension South, which was 1,925 units in 57, and the William Green homes, 1,096 units in 62. As of May 2011, again, all the high-rise buildings have been demolished. 150 of the dilapidated Francis Cabrini row houses uh, have been renovated and remain inhabited. So I wanted to share a little bit of that with you. And the reason that I want to share some of that with you, and I have so much more, but we're going to stop right there with that. But what I want to share with you is this. There are still people who lived in Cabrini Green back when I grew up that actually um, have ownership with some of those houses and probably don't even know it. The row houses, anyway. If you go over to that area, Chicago Avenue, get over to Cleveland, look over to the areas that are fenced off. These abandoned areas still have deeds to them, folks. Some of them, anyway. They still have deeds to them. And so I would encourage you all, if you have any ties to that area, to talk to your family. All right, talk to those who have lived there, or those who you were connected to that live there, and find out if you still own that property. Find out if you still have some ties to those housing projects. Now, again, as I said before, there was a lot of bad that happened, but we can talk about the COINTELPRO days of Chicago on another show. Counterintelligence programs were very instrumental, to include um, other devices being very instrumental with bringing bad things into previously good neighborhoods. Now, of course, we all have to take accountability for our actions. We all have to take accountability for what we are a part of, and we all have choices. But at the end of the day, if you have a city so great as Chicago, Illinois, that is neglecting housing areas that house the majority of our people that look like us, then there's a problem. There was a problem then, and in some cases, there's a problem now. So, again, getting back to the how to's, how is it that you can start the process of finding out if you have any type of ties to this property? Well, there's a man by the name of Alderman Walter Burnett Jr. I tried to get in touch with him prior to the show. Uh, and he's the alderman over there in that ward, and I believe that's 27th Ward, 27th Ward, Alderman Walter Burnett Jr. He's not only an alderman for the 27th Ward, he's also the vice mayor of Chicago. That's right. He's Brandon Johnson's right-hand man. Why am I putting his name out? Well, I'm putting his name out because aldermans make things happen in Chicago. Y'all might have commissioners in other areas of where you live in, like DC has commissioners. Washington, DC, shout out to all those from Washington, DC that's watching tonight. We have commissioners out there. Some people have supervisors like Dalton or Calumet, and some people have mayors or what have you. But just consider an alderman as a mini mayor, if you will. So not only is Walter Burnett Jr. a alderman for the 27th Ward, where Cabrini Green still exists today, but he's also the vice mayor. And that number to his office is 312-432-1995. Again, 312-432-1995. And wait, there's more. The address to his office is 4 North Western Avenue, Suite 1C, and that's Chicago, Illinois, y'all. Again, 4 Northwestern Avenue, Suite 1C, Chicago, Illinois, 312-432-1995, Alderman Walter Burnett. So, what do you do when you call them? What's your question? What are you trying to move forward to get done? Well, basically, you want to know how you can start the process of making sure that you could take a look at certain things to see if if you are tied to that property. So Freedom of Information Act is one way to go. One way to go. You actually don't have to call the alderman for that, but you can petition for the petition via the Freedom of Information Act to see if anybody that you knew lived in Cabrini Green, lived in the row houses, still have ties to those properties. So that's a start. Again, I talked to my cousin about trying to find out if we still own property over there, if her and her sister still own property over there, because they were the last ones to live there with our Medea before she ended up moving away from the Cabrini Green area. But we're going to try to help to see, if there are any ties or not, so that they can make decisions and choices about a place that brought them so much joy when they were growing up, and a place that they have a right to be frank. And I'm looking forward to speaking to the alderman. I'm looking forward to someone getting in touch with the alderman to just let them know what's on their mind. They want to know what's going on with the properties. They want to know how they can be a part of what's going on with the properties, and if they actually have some ties to the property. So that's a little bit about Cabrini Green. I'm glad that you all are tuning in to hear what I had to say about that. And we're not done. We're going to actually talk about a little bit more here on the Denasha Harrison Show. IntellectualRadio.com is the platform that I am speaking from. And thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a real small break, but we'll be right back right after this.
My soul ain't strong enough to stop me. I'm out of control. This the matrix. I'm Neo. I know that I know. I am that I am. That's why I speak so bold. On the verge of losing hope. I know where to go. Switch my style from singing vocals to magical flows. Study the streets a little closer. One with the ghetto. Got wise as I got older. Unloaded the metal. New millennium rebel. After that federal dollar. Balance the world on my shoulders. I know my soldiers are following we at war. Cause kids still dying in the streets at war. On the block running from the police at war. In the US, this ain't the Middle East at war. With the problems in my own community and the war. It's the only way to fight an enemy. Lord, save my father from this bottom of Hennessy. What more can I give? I'm giving all of me. And for real, it's only getting harder for me. Harder to see and harder to breathe. And there's only one remedy. I gotta be smarter than my enemies.
Wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, now wade in the water. God's in trouble. I'm being chased by demons, the triple team, exposed to false religions. I'm hated by jealous niggas that don't want to see me living my life scarred from living hope.
Welcome back to the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. Thank you for joining me. And if you missed the last segment before we went into the break, we talked a little bit about Cabrini Green and a little bit about the history of it. We talked about Alderman Burnett, the vice mayor, as well as the alderman for the 27th Ward. Try to blow his phone up and find out what's going on with those properties over there where Mama Dear used to live at, where your people used to live at. Let's find out what's going on. You may or may not still have ties to that area. And you had a little history lesson, and I got more, and we can do that for the next segment, the next show. We're going to do a little bit at a time. If you got questions about Cabrini Green, or you got some experiences about Cabrini Green or any other housing project, Henry Horner off of Washington, the Robert Taylor homes out south, if you got anything that you want to share about your experiences while you were there, then please feel free to call 703-223-8953, the Denash Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. And before we go to the phones, I want to give a shout out to Miss Kim. That's right. We got a show coming Tuesdays, I believe, at 7 o'clock. It's going to be Crazy Conversations with Miss Kim. She's on YouTube, Crazy Conversations with Miss Kim. She's on Instagram, Miss Kim 1031. So Crazy Conversations with Miss Kim. And she also has a transportation company called Almond Transportation. So she's going to be here to tell you more about that either next week or the week after. I'm not sure. But Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, you can catch Crazy Conversations with Miss Kim. I'm looking forward to having her on the show so we could talk about her journey from where she's coming from to how she got here on this platform. So if you're listening, Kim, I'm looking forward to sharing this platform with you, and welcome to the Intellectual Radio family. So we're going to go to the phones now. Hey, caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Calvin Harrison from the state of California.
Okay, so I got another Harrison calling. Well, we deep. How you doing? How you doing? Good to hear you. Don't see you that much.
That's
I gotta
right.
talk to you on the radio show because
That's right.
we busy doing what we do. So thank you for calling. And for those out there who don't know, that's my big brother, Calvin Harrison, calling in on his little brother's show. So I appreciate the love and support. About time that you finally decided to join me on this platform. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy like most family are, but thank you for joining the show.
No problem.
Did you hear earlier about the conversation that we were having with Cabrini Green?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so wonderful conversation. We're going to have you go in there and play that back, because I'm sure that if you would have heard what we discussed, you'd have a lot of comments, a lot of questions, because as you know, that was the first place that, we touched footballs and had, social events in that area between there and Cicero and Maypole Lake. Between that and the west side of Chicago, we had a lot of interesting experiences, a lot of good experiences, in my opinion, that outweighed the bad. So,
oh yeah, we lived it.
Oh, absolutely, and we're living through a lot of things still. So, I don't even know why you called. So, why don't you share with the people what you're calling for? What you want to talk about?
What I want to talk about? How about for this new year, focusing mindset? How about that? We talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Whether it's business, family, how people can just keep track with their mindset. Stop hanging around the crazy folks. Stop hanging around folks that can't do nothing for you. We can talk a little bit about that.
So you must have watched my show a couple of shows back, because I talked about the same thing.
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, we're on the same page. We can absolutely talk about mindset. I think it's important that people understand, as I said before in the show or on the show, that you have to be careful of what you're bringing in the 2024. It's not that 2023 is a magical, between 2023 and 2024, something magical happens. You have to make the change, right? So
right.
I think that's a great topic. Can you tell the people about what you do? Some of the things that you do, because you talked about mindset. You're talking about mindset, making sure you have the right mindset. In what line of work is it important for not just you, but other people to have the right mindset?
Well, I think if you're an entrepreneur in business, you definitely got to have the right mindset, setting goals. And one of the important things you have to do is write your plan out, write it on paper. If you sit there and think about a lot of things, you can actually lose some of those thoughts. But if you write it down, you see it all the time, and then you can execute your plan and make it happen. Don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the ones that don't have anything. Think about it. If you hang around somebody broke, what's going to happen? You're going to stay broke. You hang around somebody that's wealthy, got some knowledge, eventually it'll rub off on you. So those some of the things that we can apply and think about. Also, too, when you wake up in the morning, don't wake up in the morning all mad and upset and just angry and all that craziness. Make it your day. Make that day positive, full of energy. Make it productive. Make it a busy day. Not busy as in you like that little hamster that's being the wheel, just keep going. Ain't nothing happening. Nothing being productive. You're not being productive. So just got to just change that mindset, man. And some of the things that I do personally is, you got to keep God first in any and everything that you do, and have the faith, and just keep moving.
Okay, so how would you advise people to own their day? So, for example, before you answer that, things might not go your way one day. Things might not go your way the day after that and the day after that. So, how do you balance that out, and how do you seize the moment in spite of what you're going through? What are some of the tips that you can give to the people? Because business doesn't always go your way. Situations and circumstances don't always go your way. Things change. So
right.
How do you, what advice would you give people to stay in the fight?
Man, that's a good question. I can only use myself as an example. We go through some things in life, and we just have to stay disciplined, and we have to stay focused. I had a situation not too long ago where, I had to stay disciplined and I had to stay focused. And it wasn't a good day. It wasn't a good day. It wasn't a good week. It wasn't a good month. But I still had to push and stay focused and look at my plan and my goals and just stay on track. We get a lot of different, you get, like I call them, those negative pellets that might come, and we just got to be ready, and again, stay focused, man, and get it done. So that's what I would, tell the people. You just got to grind and just keep staying focused, and don't listen to the naysayers and people that, don't have anything, positive to say.
Okay. I think
that will help.
No, I think that does help. I think that'll help those who are listening. As you said, you have to keep pushing forward. I think what's important as well is to make sure that people do what you initially said on this conversation. You have to have a plan. You have to have a plan, and it has to be a plan that that you can put into effect to accomplish things in front of you, to include accomplishing the long term. I think that what may be helpful when you don't win that day in your mind is to stay focused on the long term.
Correct.
So
yeah, a lot. Go ahead. I didn't cut you off.
No, you go ahead. I'm listening.
So you have sometimes in life we have people that want that they want that microwave effect. They want it like instant right now. They don't want that endure that long term. Looking at 10, 15 years from now, like whatever you do today, how's it going to affect you? You got to think about how's it going to affect you 10, 15 years from now. Whatever you do today, get that long term where you put that turkey in the oven and just let it cook. Put little juices on it and it come out real good. But then you got the other type of mindset. Well, they want that gratification right now. Let's stick it in the microwave. Let's get it done right now. No, you can't have that. Especially in business. You really don't want that microwave mindset. You want that long term. You want that longevity. You want that. You want that type of
staying power.
Everlasting to everlasting. So yeah, no microwave mentality.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you actually called in, and I think that's a great example. If you have one of my least favorite pieces of chicken is a chicken breast, because it dries out more than anything. I like dark meat over white meat anyway. But if you take, if you got two chicken breasts, one you put in the oven, one you put in the microwave, which one you think is going to come out the best?
The oven.
It'd be the one that cooked the slowest. Now you take another piece of chicken, put one in the oven, put one in the crock pot. Which one you think is going to taste the best?
Oh, that crock pot.
So,
yeah, that's slow processing. Yes,
that slow process. But everything doesn't take a slow process. But when you're trying to build a foundation, I believe it's important for communication to move forward, to go forward, people to understand what's in front of them, what's ahead of them, what they're investing in, what they're a part of,
right.
So that you can be a team through the whole process. And I want to ask you this. Has there ever been a time where people have started out with you in your business endeavors, but are no longer with you today? And if so, can you expound a little bit on that?
Man, oh man. Yes. You remember how that old snake, as he growing, he lose that skin, he leave it behind?
Shedding?
Yes, I definitely, he shed that behind. He leave that skin behind. And you can see where, when you see that skin where that snake shed it, like, man, he done got a little bit bigger. He matured. Now he can eat a little bit more. So yes, I definitely have experienced that. I'm experiencing that right now to this day, where 2023 things have been shedded. So and I'm excited about it. Because you got new levels where God take you, then everybody can't go with you. When you're going up. So, yeah, man, there is that is a such thing, and it's happening each time. Each level, you got new folks, but you also got to choose your new folks very, 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 very. You got to be conscious of it, who you choose, very discerning who you choose. You got to make sure they see that same vision that you see, because if they don't see that same vision, then there's going to be some problems, So this year, 2024, has been very surgical for me, who I decide who's going to be on my team and who's not. So I'm definitely with you on that.
It has truly been a busy 2024, and we're not even in February yet. Would you agree to that?
That's right. Yes, I would agree. Myself, shedding, I've accomplished in 3 weeks that I've accomplished last year in 6 months. So it's a good thing to have a different mindset and a process of elimination, and then executing a plan that you wrote down for your goals. So I'm totally about that.
Well, that's great advice, and I'm glad that you shared that with us. I wish you all the success in your entrepreneurial businesses, which, again, that's another show. But for all of those who have partnered with you and who have struggled with you and continue to stay in there with you, whether they're happy about it, sad about it, angry about it, if they're still with you, then I'm thankful for those people, because I know from a personal standpoint that it has not been an easy journey for your businesses, and for some of those who are part of the process with you, it definitely hasn't been easy for them, but they're still in it with you. Some are tied to you, whether they want to be or not. But for those who are in the business with you, I just want to use this opportunity, take this time, use this platform to encourage not only you, but those who are with you, who have been with you, who have stuck with you, who are in it with you. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the outcome is going to be when it comes to all the ventures that you're doing, because once you get through those tunnels, and once you get into those lighted areas, it's going to be beneficial for everybody who stuck it out with you. So I really appreciate you for continuing to look at the long game, waking up and seizing the day in spite of all the things that you have endured. And again, the people with you, all the things that you're still moving forward and you're taking care of the business. So I really appreciate you for being who you are as a, small minority business owner. learning some things the hard way and being blessed the easy way when it comes to other things, but mostly the hard way. But you're still
Yes.
here, and I'm rooting for you. I'm cheering for you, and I really appreciate you. And before we disconnect, I would like for you to tell the people, besides you being an entrepreneur, what is it? What else is it that you're doing for the people?
I'm glad that you asked. So, actually, I'm going to be in Chicago, Illinois in September. I am a senior pastor for In the Beginning Church, and my number is 516-597-9914. The number again is 516-597-9914. And you can call that number in on Sundays at 8 o'clock, which will be 10 o'clock Chicago time, 8 o'clock California time. And you can get the truth, the truth, the truth, the word of God. Amen. So you definitely give us a call, and then you can hear my other side of the things that I do for the people in the community.
And what's the name of your church?
In the beginning.
Okay.
The first verse of the book of Genesis. In the beginning.
So 516-597-9914, is that correct?
Yes, that is.
So it's online. So you call in. So it's on the phone that you're having the services outside of the area where you're in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So when people call that number, they can so it's a call in. So they can call that number.
They can just dial in and just call the number, dial in, and then push mute. If you got background noise, you don't push mute. I got somebody that's gonna push mute for you.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. So you feel like 2024 has been a blessing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, abundantly.
You with the pointed black and white questions. Yes. No. Okay. I got you. It's good. It's good. But
yes, it has been. It's very good.
Well, thank you for calling, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you more about your businesses. But most importantly, I'm looking at you supporting the Denasha Harrison Show on IntellectualRadio.com by sponsoring the show when you're ready to sponsor the show, Kelvin.
Yes, sir.
So we speaking it into existence right now, and we're looking ahead
right
with
now.
the long-term goals and plans about the sponsorship that you'll have here for the show. But
that's right, brother. I got you.
Okay. So now y'all heard that. So for all of you who know us,
that's right.
Okay, and this is out there now. It's out there. It's never going away.
Out there.
So, but thank you for calling. I really appreciate the call. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your encouraging words. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you more. And I got it now. I've cracked the code. In order for me to catch up with you and talk to you, I'll just talk to Mama and make sure you call in on the show so we can talk to each other in front of the people.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna put you out there like that.
Okay.
I'll put you out there like that. No, but
so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna show up live on your show. I'm gonna come out there and surprise you and show up live on your show. How about that?
I'm looking forward to it. So now you gotta bite, you gotta chew that one. You just bit that off, so you got to chew that one. So the people heard that too. Yep. And before we go, I got one more thing for you. You listening?
What's that?
Okay, so that's something that we do with each other. We just kind of hang up on each other without the other person knowing we're gonna hang up on them. It's just our little thing that we do as brothers. So this is the Denasha Harrison Show here on Intellectual Radio. I'm glad that you all are witness to our little family dynamics and things of that nature. But again, 516-597-9914. That is the number to In the Beginning Church, 10 o'clock, Chicago time, 8 o'clock on the West Coast. So that's Pastor Casey Harrison, who is the senior pastor of that church. And he's doing great things for the people who are part of that church. He's doing great things out in California. And I'm very, very happy that he called in. It's really good to hear from him. And I'm glad that in spite of all the things that are going on, that he's still here and we're still standing. Two brothers from the west side of Chicago. We made it and we still making it, and I'm happy about it. Um, and it just feels good to still have family and still have a sense of togetherness. And it kind of feels like intellectual radio, to be honest with you. It feels like one big family. Again, intellectualradio.com, the Denasha Harrison Show. This is how you get to the Denasha Harrison Show and other shows. Go to intellectualradio.com, subscribe, and once you subscribe, all the shows that we are part of here on this iHeartRadio platform, you have access to. So the Denasha Harrison Show, continue to listen. Again, Anthony McMath is the owner of Up and Going at 219-200-2400, www.upandgoing.net. From funeral homes to banquet halls to closing your closet, one piece at a time is how he's handling the business, how he's taking care of people. And I'm going to tell you what area he's in. He's not only in the Southland area of Chicago, he's also now on the west side of Chicago, where we came up from. And he's in the northern area of Indiana. So he's continuing to march forward with this business, servicing the community and going above and beyond. So he's the owner. People are happy. People are pleased. Last show, y'all heard how pleased the people were by calling in throughout the whole show. So not mad at you. Continue to call, continue to support. This is what this platform is for. This is what this is all about. Helping out one another, supporting one another. And again, I'm looking forward to spending more time with not only him, but others that will be making their way through on the show. So on the next show, again, we're going to talk with Miss Kim, and hopefully I'll have some other wonderful things for the people that are listening to the Denasha Harrison Show. Again, thank you for rocking with me. Thank you for the support. We are on intellectualradio.com. This is the Denasha Harrison Show, and we will see you next Wednesday. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Stay safe.
You ain't got enough money to buy my soul. Ain't strong enough to stop me. I'm out of control. This the matrix, I'm Neo. I know that I know I am that I am. That's why I speak so bold.